What if I told you that the city you live in was designed to control you? Where you walk, how you behave, even how you think. It might sound like a conspiracy, but once you see the hidden design choices shaping your daily life, you'll never look at your surroundings the same way again. From the streets, to the benches, from the highways, to the surveillance systems, everything is built with a purpose, and not all of those purposes are in your best interest. Most people think cities are built for efficiency, convenience, or even beauty. But there's a hidden layer to urban planning, one that's about power, control, and managing people. Governments and urban planners have long used city layouts to maintain order, suppress unrest, and influence behavior. Take Paris, for example. The wide, scenic boulevards you see today weren't just built for aesthetics. In the 19th century, the French government redesigned the city to prevent revolutions. Narrow streets made it easy for protesters to set up barricades, so planners widened them to make future uprisings more difficult. This wasn't an isolated case. Cities across the world have been shaped by hidden strategies that subtly dictate how people interact with them. Ever noticed benches with armrests in the middle, preventing someone from lying down? Or metal spikes on flat surfaces, making it impossible to sit? That's called hostile architecture, and it's designed to keep certain people away. This type of design is used in cities everywhere to subtly enforce control. Governments and businesses use these methods to discourage loitering, prevent the homeless from sleeping in public spaces, and push undesirable individuals out of sight. Some train stations play high-pitched sounds that only young people can hear to stop them from gathering. Others use bright, unwelcoming lighting to keep public spaces from becoming social hubs after dark. These tactics send a clear message. Certain people aren't welcome in certain places. The concept of defensible space was introduced by architect Oscar Newman in the 1970s. It suggests that crime can be controlled not just with police presence, but with urban design that makes people feel constantly watched. Surveillance cameras are just one part of the equation. Cities use strategic layouts, like placing windows overlooking public areas, to create natural surveillance, where people unconsciously monitor each other. Well-lit streets, open spaces, and specific building placements make sure there are fewer hidden spots where crime could take place. Whether you realize it or not, your movements in a city are constantly being influenced by these principles. Did you know that some highways and bridges were intentionally built to segregate communities? Urban planning has often been used as a tool to enforce social divides. One infamous example is Robert Moses's bridges in New York. Allegedly, he designed overpasses on parkway roads too low for buses to pass underneath, effectively keeping lower-income communities who relied on public transportation out of wealthy areas. Highways have also been strategically placed to divide neighborhoods, often cutting through and isolating poorer communities while giving richer areas more accessible routes. It's not just architecture and city layouts that influence how you move, it's also technology. Many modern cities are designed to control pedestrian flow, guiding foot traffic through specific paths. Have you ever wondered why crosswalks or walkways are positioned in certain places? Why certain streets feel more crowded while others remain empty? It's all intentional, but now, city planning is going digital. Your phone constantly pings nearby tracking systems, especially in places like train stations and public squares. Facial recognition cameras in major cities can track your movements, even logging your time spent in different locations. The city of the future won't just control where you can go. It will know exactly where you are at all times. Urban planning isn't just about safety or convenience. It's about power. Governments, corporations, and private investors all have a say in how cities evolve. The rise of smart cities means even more control over our movement, data, and daily lives. The question is, who gets to decide what's best for the people living there? Every step you take in a city was designed by someone else. Every street, every public bench, every surveillance camera. It's all part of a system that shapes your behavior in ways you might never have considered. So, the next time you walk through your city, ask yourself, are you really moving freely? Or are you just following a path someone else built for you? Cities are not just physical spaces. They are living systems, orchestrated to function in ways that benefit those in power. Take a moment to think about the places you frequent every day. The way streets are laid out, the positioning of public transportation, the height of buildings. Each of these elements was designed with an agenda. Some decisions were made for efficiency, others for aesthetics, but many were implemented to dictate how people live, where they go, and what they can do. These choices don't happen by accident. They are deliberate, calculated, and often invisible to the people affected by them. Consider how much of a city's design is meant to influence behavior. Studies show that placing a park in a wealthy neighborhood increases property values, but in a lower income area, it can be a tool for gentrification, pushing out existing residents as rent prices skyrocket. Street layouts are also manipulated for control. Some cities use cul-de-sacs and winding roads to limit movement and keep specific neighborhoods insulated from outsiders. Others use zoning laws to create artificial divisions between where people live and where they work, forcing long commutes and discouraging social interaction among different economic classes. These are not mere coincidences. They are built into the very fabric of urban life. Public transportation is another tool of control. Have you ever noticed that in some cities, subway systems and bus routes are more efficient in wealthier areas, while poorer neighborhoods suffer from inconsistent service? This is by design. The placement of transit hubs, the frequency of service, and the cost of fares all determine who has access to economic opportunities and who is left struggling to get to work or school. In some cases, this leads to entire communities being cut off from the resources they need, ensuring that the divide between rich and poor remains firmly in place. Even the availability of public seating plays a role in how cities control populations. Cities that want to discourage loitering or gatherings in certain areas will reduce the number of benches, limit shaded spaces, and remove places for people to rest. This isn't just about keeping public areas clean. It's about making it difficult for certain groups to exist in public spaces. If you've ever struggled to find a place to sit in a busy urban area, chances are that scarcity was intentional. Water access is another overlooked aspect of urban control. Have you ever wondered why some parks and public squares have drinking fountains, while others do not? Providing or restricting access to water can shape how long people stay in an area and who feels welcome there. Cities that remove public drinking fountains and restrooms are often doing so to deter homeless populations and limit how long people linger in public spaces. It's a subtle but powerful form of control. Lighting is another hidden tool of influence. Brightly lit areas are often designed to keep people moving, while dimly lit spaces can discourage activity. Some areas are intentionally left poorly lit to discourage gatherings or make people feel unsafe, pushing them away from certain neighborhoods or public spaces. On the other hand, over-illumination in commercial districts ensures that people feel awake, energized, and ready to spend money. Every light in a city is placed for a reason, guiding behavior in ways most people never notice. If you think these measures are extreme, consider the rise of smart cities, where technology is integrated directly into the infrastructure to track, monitor, and influence behavior. In some cities, sensors analyze foot traffic patterns and adjust lighting, signage, and even soundscapes in real time to control the flow of people. Facial recognition cameras are increasingly being used to track individuals and create data profiles based on where they go, how long they stay, and what they do. This level of monitoring may be justified under the guise of safety, but in reality, it creates a surveillance state where privacy is nearly non-existent. Cities are shaping our lives in ways we rarely question. Every sidewalk, every crosswalk, every surveillance camera plays a role in controlling movement, behavior, and social order. Whether through hostile architecture, zoning laws, transportation restrictions, or digital surveillance, urban planning is one of the most effective tools of control ever created. So next time you step outside, take a closer look at the world around you. You may think you're walking freely, but are you really? Or are you simply moving along a path that was designed for you?